Hello everybody, my name is Mike Guy, and in this video we are going to look at part 7 on my mini-series on object-oriented game development. I've taken the liberty of already creating my H files for my explosion class and my background class, as well as the CPP files for both of those. So we can just go ahead and dive right in getting those ready. So in my explosion.h, I'm going to start with my pragma once statement, and then I'm going to do pound include game object. And then I'm going to have class explosion. That's going to inherit from public game object. Now the explosion is pretty simple. I'm going to have my private section. You don't have to have it if it's empty, but I'm going to do it anyway. My public section is just going to have my constructor. And my constructor is going to take an X, a Y, and an Allegro bitmap named image. And then I'm going to have void destroy, void update, and void render. Now the explosion class and the background class are real simple. I mean, that's the whole thing. Don't forget your semicolon. They're real simple because they don't do a whole lot. They're just little animations. Explosion.cpp, we are simply going to say pound include explosion.h, and then I want my constructor explosion. I'm going to go ahead and copy that so I can use it over. Explosion and then explosion. And we are going to read in a float x, float y, and Allegro bitmap image. Alright, and then I'm going to call my init function from my game object init, and I'm going to pass an x, y. Now no velocities, no directions, no bounding boxes. Explosion does not move. Alright, and then I'm going to set my ID to enemy. It's just what, actually, no. I was going to set it as enemy because it doesn't matter, but for the sake of being accurate, I'm going to set it to miscellaneous. And then I'm going to set collidable. We don't want our explosions to be collidable. I'm going to set it to false, so we can't collide with our explosions. Awesome. And now we've got max frame. Max frame for this particular animation is going to be 31. My current frame is going to be 0. I need a semicolon, not a... There we go. Frame count is equal to 0. Frame delay is going to equal 1. We want it to cycle pretty quick. Frame width is going to equal 128. Frame height is going to equal 128. Animation columns is going to equal 8. And animation direction is going to equal 1. Excellent. And then explosion image is going to equal image. There we go. Awesome. Next, I got my destroy method. That's going to be void explosion destroy. And we're just going to do game object destroy. Alright. And then I've got void game explosion update. And in this, we're just going to update the animation. I'll come back to that in a second. And then I'm going to do void explosion render. Now, the update in the render code is going to be pretty much exactly generic to what we've seen before, so I'm actually just going to copy and paste it. I'm going to go ahead and grab, I suppose I can grab, I'm just going to grab it from my notes. If you're following along, you can grab it from comment, it's the same. This should be 100% the same from comment, so I'm just copying and pasting it. The update is going to be ever so slightly different. I'm still just going to copy and paste it, but I'll explain what's different. So there we go. With the explosion update, I'm only animating in one direction, so I don't need to times it by animation direction. You can just add it. Actually, no, I do that anyway. But I don't have to check for my lower bounds because I'm not animating the other direction. And instead of just resetting the animation, if I get to the end, I'm just setting my alive equal to false. That's the only difference. So if I hit my max frame, I'm going to kill the explosion. And when I kill the explosion, when I set it equal to false, it's going to get culled out naturally from our list when the update cycle is completed. All right. So yeah, I mean that's it. That's the explosion class. It's really simple. It's just that little bit. And now to plug it into the game is pretty darn simple too. I'm going to come over to main, and I'm going to just do pound include explosion.h so we can utilize it. And now whenever I have a collision, alright, so whenever check collision returns back true, all I need to do is make an explosion. Alright, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do explosion, and I'll call it explosion equals new explosion. Alright, and the explosion takes an X and a Y. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to average the distance between the two objects that exploded, and then I'll make the explosion appear right between them, and it's going to look pretty good. So to do that, I'm going to do iter get X plus iter2 get X. Alright, I'm going to put the whole thing in a set of parentheses and divide it by 2. I'm going to do the same thing for the Y value. I'm going to do iter get Y plus iter2 get Y divide by 2. And then the last thing I need to do is I need to pass in my explosion, which I have not created yet. So I need to do that. So I will call it expl image, and that'll finish that. So let me go ahead and create this real quick, and then we'll get back to putting it into our list. So I'll come back up here to my project init area, and I'm going to go ahead and get that, or actually I'm going to come right above it to my project variables, and I'm going to do Allegro bitmap expl image equals null, just like that. And then I'm going to come down here to my project init, and I'm going to go ahead and load it in. I'm going to load it down here with my comment. So I'm going to say expl image equals al load bitmap, and that bitmap is, just go ahead and grab it from my notes and paste it. There we go. This particular one here. And then I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom here, since we're doing this way of clearing up memory now, since the other way did not work out. And I'm going to do al destroy bitmap expl image. Alright, great. Now this will work just fine. Now that image exists. And once I've created my explosion, I just need to do objects dot pushback explosion. Alright, so that's how simple it is to plug in. So let's go ahead and run it. And now we get this nice explosion. We'll also get the explosion when a ship hits it. Bam, bam, bam. And it averages the distance and looks pretty decent. Great. Okay, that certainly adds something in my opinion. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our background class. Now our background class is also very, very simple. So I come over here to the background.h that I've already created. I'll give it a pragma once, like that. Pound include game object. Our background is a game object. We want it to animate or update just like everything else. Class background and inherit public game object, just like that. There we go. Alright, and we're going to have a private section that's going to be blank, and a public section that's going to have our constructor. Our constructor is going to take an Allegro bitmap and image, and just a float velocity x. That's all we need. And we're going to have void destroy, and void update, and void render. Okay, great. Now I can just go to the CPP file behind it and type that out real quick. I'm going to do pound include, and I'm going to include background.h, and then my constructor. background, like that. I'll copy that. Ooh, that's not what I want to do. I will copy that. And I'm going to be reading in Allegro, bitmap, and image, and float velocity x. Alright. Inside I'm going to run my game object init. And it's going to have a 0x, 0y, velocity x is whatever the user specifies, 0 for my velocity y, -1 for my direction, 0 for my direction y, and no bounding boxes. Alright. I'm going to set the ID to miscellaneous, just like that, and then I'm going to set collidable to false. There we go. And we're going to do background image equals image. And in this particular instance, since we're not running animation like we have in the other, like our comet and our ship, and our frame width is going to equal AL get bitmap width. And we are going to pass in alright, for our destroy method, void destroy, oops, and we're just going to do game object destroy, and then we're going to do void background update, come back to that one, and void background render. Alright, with update, we're just going to do game object, oops, update. That'll go ahead and move the background, make it a scrolling background. And then we're just going to say if x plus frame width less than or equal to 0. We're going to say x equals 0. Simple balance checking there. And I gotta get rid of that space. There we go. And then in my render, I'm going to call game object render. And then AL draw bitmap. So we're drawing the whole thing. We're going to draw an image. We're going to draw it at x, y, and 0 for our flags. And then we need to get them to butt up against each other, if you remember from those videos. So I'm going to do x, if x plus frame width is less than width. Then I'm going to do AL draw bitmap. I'm going to draw image, and I'm going to draw it at x plus frame width and y and 0. Great, just like that. Oh, I see I have a typo here. There we go. Alright, now we go back over to main here and we can get this plugged in. I'm just going to come up here to my includes and do pound include background. Great. And after this, what we're going to do is we're going to have, basically we're going to create the 3 bitmaps and the 3 background images that will allow us to do our parallax scrolling background, if we remember that section. So I'm going to come down to my project variables, and I'm going to go ahead and call out the bitmaps. I'm going to do Allegro bitmap, and I'm just going to do background image equal to null. I'll copy that, paste it 3 times there, middle ground and foreground, just like that. And since I just created them there, I'm going to come down to the bottom here and do L destroy bitmap. I'll do BG image, copy that, paste 3 times, make it MG and FG. Awesome. Alright. And then inside my project init here, I'm going to go ahead and load them in and then add them into my objects array. Now, it is very important that I put my backgrounds in the objects array in front of my ship so that they get drawn before my ship gets drawn, or else the background will cover the ship instead of being in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put these up here before the ship gets pushed into the list. So I'm going to say BG image is going to equal AL load bitmap, and the bitmap in question is star BG dot PNG. Let's copy this line, paste it a couple times. That's going to be MG and FG, and it's going to be MG and FG, just like that. As I load in my images, now let's create my background object and put them into the array. I'm going to do background pointer BG equals new background, and the first thing it's going to take is an image, so it's going to be BG image and then a speed, and it's going to be 1. Actually, yeah, I'm going to copy that, and then once I've created my BG, I'm just going to do objects push back BG. Awesome. Then I'm going to, I don't need to redeclare it, so actually let me take that away, and make that MG image. An MG image will travel at a rate of 3, and I'll do objects dot push back, and I'll push in BG again. By making it new, they're actually different variables. They point to different memory. And then finally I'm going to do BG equals new background. This one's going to be FG image for foreground, and that's going to move at 5. And then I'm going to do objects dot pushback BG. Great, awesome. So that's it. I just created the images and created and put the objects in the list, and now I'm going to run it, and we should have. Oh, I noticed I have an error here. Now here's a fun one. I'll go ahead and show you guys. The error message says cannot convert from bool to background. And you might look at this and think, what the heck do you mean cannot convert from bool to background here? Remember when I told you if you forgot the semicolon, you'd be getting some weird errors in main? This is one of those weird errors. And what did we do? In background.h, I forgot a semicolon. So there you go. You can't forget that semicolon, or else you get weird errors like that. So okay, now we can run it. And here we go. I've got my background. My background all flying high, and my explosions in this game is looking pretty slick at this point. And notice once again, I can't enforce enough the idea that I don't have to manually update or render my backgrounds. I just throw it into that list and it just works. So that's awesome. Alright, so that's going to do it for part 7 here. We've got our explosions in, we've got our background in. We're getting up to it. In the next video, we're going to look at audio, and we're going to look at states, and we're going to wrap up this game.